Hey everyone, JD here. This time we have an unboxing of the LIAN SHENG UFO, otherwise known as the LS-114. You're more often than not going to see it for sale via this model number and name there, rather than the full name. That was most certainly when I saw it when I bought it on Amazon. Right, okay, so let's open her up and let's have a little look. Okay, so here we go. Right, I'm actually quite excited about this. I know I say that for a lot of my videos, but this particular quadcopter really does make me think of the original AR drones by Parrot that came out years ago. Purely just because of the very distinctive quadcopter or drone shape. When you speak to a lot of people, this is the shape that they think of whenever they speak about or whenever they hear about quadcopters or drones. So just having a little look at this one, it is quite small. I mean, there we go, on the palm of my hand, a little bit of hangover either side, but in itself it is quite small. It does feel very plasticky, especially on the actual propeller guards. I don't know if you can see that there. I'm actually bending these without much effort at all. It's just bending quite easily. There we go. So you may want to take care of it. It is extremely light as well. It's only a couple of grams. So when you are taking it out and when you are going to fly it, you're really not going to want to do it on a day where there's any wind whatsoever. It has to be a totally still day in order to fly this quadcopter. So I'm sure that some of you would have noticed there's no camera attached to this quadcopter at all. It is just purely a fun quadcopter, just to fling around the air and just have some good bits of fun with it. So there are a couple of ways to differentiate between the front and the back of the quadcopter. One easy way are the colour of the propellers. The white propellers denote the front of the quadcopter and the green for the back. You will also see as well, I don't know if you can make it out on the camera, but you'll certainly see it when we take it out for the flight. There is one white LED at the front as well. So as well as the white propellers, you will also see the white LED shining. That will also let you know exactly which way the quadcopter is pointing. So if we just flip her over quickly, we'll have a quick little look on the underside. You can see the skids of this quadcopter once I get it into position. There we go. The skids of the quadcopter aren't very big at all. So you're not going to want to fly this into long grass, into any sort of morning dew grass or anything at all. You're more often than not going to want to fly it into an area which has been freshly mown, or in an area where there is concrete. Just because the little motors and the gears are all right here. So you've got one per propeller, of course, same as every quadcopter, but normally you have the skids which will protect the quadcopter when it lands and protect the motors. With these, you haven't. So you've literally got a tiny little, about 1 inch, 1.5 inch between the motor and the end of the skid. So even though the motors themselves are completely encased, I still wouldn't like to take much of a chance with getting moisture in there, or in fact damaging it, because this quadcopter does have a couple of different modes of flying, but we'll come to that in a second. Okay, so that's just takes care of the 4 encapsulated motors. 2 on the back, 2 on the front. Of course, wherever the propellers are, you're going to have a motor and gear set inside there. There are tiny LEDs on the outside as well. I don't know if I can make this a little bit more visible. Sorry, this camera has not got a great resolution. But they're just here, one there, one there, one there, and one there. So pretty much wherever there's a skid, there's going to be a little LED. That LED will cycle. I believe it's red and blue. So you can see it flying whether you take this out in the evening or whether you fly it during the day. Okay, so to have a little bit of a closer look at the battery bay, if I just turn her around quickly. So the battery bay here, quite standard. The battery would just slot in here and then connect to this 2-pin plug there. So when the battery does fit in, it does fit in quite snug, so you haven't got to worry about it falling out mid-flight, or if you turn sharply or anything like that, the battery will stay in there. One of the things that I've got to point out, just to make you very aware of, I doubt you're going to see it very well on this camera, but I'll make sure that when I do take it for the flight, I will make it visible to you then as well. There is a tiny little on and off switch just there. You might be able to make it out when I move my fat finger, just by there. That is a little on and off switch. It'll be off as standard when you get it. There isn't, oh there we are, right on the PCB board in the corners it says off and on. So you might just be able to make it out when you turn it like that, and you'll have the on and off button here, and then you'll have off and on notified there. So it should be in the off position. Just make sure it is before you plug the battery in. You don't want to short anything out on the quadcopter, which would mean that you're not going to be able to fly her. Alright, so just to bring you to your attention to that, if once again the on and off button is at the back of the quad. See, there's no LED there. The LED is in front there, so that's where the on and off button is, right at the back. So just to make you aware, and just to be careful when you do come to plug in the battery. Alright, so that's pretty much everything about this particular quadcopter that we can go through. It's not very technologically advanced. It is quite basic, but then it does make for quite a fun copter when you do take it out and you do fly it around. So there we have it. One more thing to point out. You might see there's a little silver cable just hanging out. That little cable there, I don't know if I can position it so you can see this one here. That one there is your antenna. So if you do find that you're not getting great reception, or if it doesn't go to its registered distance, then you will find that just moving this little cable around a little bit might make it respond to the transmitter a little bit better. Alright, so let's shift some of this out of the way for the second. If I put the box on the floor. Right. So with the box on the floor there, we can now see exactly what is left inside here. So if I were to just take out the transmitter and the obligatory goodie bag in there as well. Okay, so let's start off on the goodie bag after looking at the quadcopter. So in the bag itself, it's pretty standard, but we'll go through it anyway. So you have replacement propellers for the front and the back. So not forgetting that the white are for the front, the green are for the back. So you've got a full set there should you damage any on this copter. So that's always good. There's the battery in question. Tiny little battery. It's only a 3.7 volt, 350 milliamp hour battery. So as quadcopter batteries go, because this doesn't have to power a camera or anything flashy other than the LEDs, this particular battery hasn't got a very high capacity, therefore you're not going to need it. If you are going to buy replacements, you can get them online, but you have to double check just to make sure you are buying the correct one for this quadcopter. Okay, so there's the battery. There's also the USB charger, which is so standard in every quadcopter back. So you just connect your quadcopter. There's only one way you can connect the battery to the USB charger, and once you do connect it, it will click in. So you'll get a definite click when you plug it in and when you unplug it. So you'll definitely know when you have plugged it in correctly. As for an LED, there might be one on the USB. On the USB stick part of the charger, but as I haven't plugged it in, I don't know that for sure. But if there is, I'll put a little annotation in the video just to let you know. But there we go, there's the charger as well, so all that came in the little pack there as well. Alright, so now that we've run through the main parts, let's go to the transmitter. So, fairly standard. This quadcopter doesn't offer any altitude hold, doesn't offer any FPV, of course, because it doesn't offer any camera. So just turn it over first. Let's have a little look at the battery bay. Pretty standard. Takes 4 AA batteries. Once again, the batteries in there do not charge off this transmitter, so you will have to buy either proper fully charged batteries, non-rechargeables, or rechargeable batteries, and then plug them into an external charger just to charge them up. Okay, so that's quite standard. As for the rest of the controller, even though there are 2 buttons on the shoulders, they're not used in this model because the left button is for a photo and the right button is for video. So those two buttons are pretty much, they're not used at all. So you can just forget about those completely. So all we're focusing on really is just the front here. So as the front goes, what we've got is we've got your standard accelerator, decelerator, and turner rounder controller, as well as you've got your side to side, forward and back motion as well on here. On and off button, quite sturdy. You aren't going to have any problem in turning this on or off. When you do turn it on, this little arrow at the top here lights up blue and flashes. Once you have bound to the quadcopter, this little arrow here goes solid blue, just to let you know you are bound and you are ready to fly. So you've got three buttons here. You've got your standard trim buttons on these three, and the other button here would normally be for video and for photo, but obviously as this quadcopter doesn't come with a camera, and if it did, these buttons would be used for it. This is another trim button as well, so you have your 4 trim buttons there. So that's pretty much it. It does not have a telemetry screen. Pretty standard setup, pretty basic setup, but again, all you would really need to get going with this particular quadcopter. So, as she is so light, and she is extremely light, you, once again, just to reiterate, you're not going to want to take this out if there's any wind at all, because she's not going to be able to fly. Alright, so there we have it. That was the unboxing of the LS-114 UFO quadcopter. So, hopefully now in the next couple of days, as long as the weather stays as nice as it is, we're going to be taking this out and I'll be doing the full flight review. Hopefully then that will be posted as standard on Saturday, because don't forget there are 2 videos, one posted on a Wednesday evening and one posted on a Saturday morning, and that then is pretty much the 2 standard videos that I do week in, week out. I am going to start doing kind of a quadcopter basics lesson as well, as to how to control it, how to start off, how to know what quadcopter to buy for whatever needs. So that will be coming shortly. Hopefully I'll get a time to film that towards the end of this week, and I'll get a chance to be able to upload it the beginning of next week. So there we have it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing of the LS-114 UFO quadcopter. If you have, please like the video, please subscribe, so that therefore you can be notified of all of my videos as I upload them. Jump on Facebook. You'll find me under JD's Quadcopter, or Quadcopters, sorry. That's JD's Quadcopters, just to reiterate. So there we have it. Also follow me on Twitter. It's JD_quad. There we are, guys. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for watching.